Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. So day one of the NATO summit ended in Lithuania yesterday. We're now on to day two. The big news, Sweden will join the alliance. No news on Ukraine joining the alliance, although today they're going to talk about maybe trying to come up with some sort of timeline eventually for when it might be practical for Ukraine to join after the war ends.
Yeah, for more on this, let's bring in Oklahoma Senator, Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, James Lankford. Senator, thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet. Good to see you all again.
Senator, good to see you. I want to ask you first about sort of the fit that Ukrainian President Zelensky threw yesterday when he found out that Ukraine wasn't going to be a part of the NATO alliance. He tweeted this out. We've received signals that this wording only refers to the invitation to join NATO, not Ukraine's membership. It is unprecedented and absurd when there is no time frame for both the invitation and Ukraine's membership. Senator, the Washington Treaty, as part of the NATO Charter, makes it clear that no country that's actively involved in a war can join the alliance. So the 31, soon to be 32 countries couldn't do it if they wanted to. What about that is unclear to President Zelensky?
Yeah, that is the most basic issue. Thanks for bringing that up. It's what I've talked about over and over again. Countries don't join NATO when they're actively involved in a war. That is a basic standard. This is a peaceful alliance that's there to be able to protect, quite frankly, all of Europe and all the modern world against Russian aggression. That's why it exists. That's why it started in the first place. So obviously, Ukraine is facing that head on right now. But they were not prepared before this war actually even started. They didn't have the right kind of government. They didn't have the right kind of oversight. They didn't have the right kind of structure for anti-corruption. All those things weren't in existence before, which is the reason they couldn't join before. They certainly can join during a hot active war.
Yeah, Senator, President Biden was seen holding cue cards during the summit in his meetings. Take a look at this odd interaction during a meeting with Turkey's president.
Mr. President, it's good to see you again. Delighted to be with you, and we're this historic summit meeting.
How is this making us look on the world stage?
I'm sorry to say that at times President Biden having an odd interaction with a foreign leader is kind of like a dog bites man kind of story. We just expect it at this point, so it doesn't even make news anymore. That's the difficulty and the challenge we have right now. President Biden traveling around the world trying to establish relationships. I can't find a good foreign policy moment that the president has had, whether it's been Afghanistan, which is a total disaster, or country to country around the world. So this is where we are. We have a year and a half to go for an election, and we are very ready.
All right. So, Senator, just a couple questions. We're 16 months into this war. It's tough to get a hold on how many people have died. The number estimate somewhere around 300,000. If Ukraine does join NATO at some point, after the war, who knows when that'll be, how does Russia respond to something like that? Because that all along has been Vladimir Putin's red line.
Yeah, obviously that was his quote unquote red line, but he was moving into Ukraine anyway. Putin was also the one who said the people in that area speak Russian, so they must be Russian. Ukraine used to be part of Russia and the Soviet Union, and so he's just going to be able to move in and take it. He wasn't focused in on just the far eastern part of Ukraine that's Russian-speaking. He was targeting right towards Kyiv and continue to be able to take the whole of the country. In fact, Putin before the war said Poland used to be part of Russia as well. So this war is really about Ukraine and its own sovereignty, but it's also about stopping Putin from rolling across Europe and just retaking and trying to create this new empire that he wants to create for Russia. So he is very much being checked by the Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians have got to be able to push him out of their own country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Senator, I want to pivot now to the action you're taking to fix passport backlog with new legislation. Talk to us about this and why it's so important.
I just want to say, Senator, I'm glad you're doing this because I just went through this, by the way.
Anyone who's trying to get a passport right now is figuring out this is total chaos. This administration cannot run the most basic elements of government. We have agency after agency that can't answer questions, can't fulfill things. The latest is the State Department. They can't fulfill the passport requests that are coming in. It used to take 6 weeks to get a passport. Now it's 15 to 18 weeks to be able to get a passport. And there are multiple issues we're trying to address with this. The first things first, it should never take longer than 12 weeks. They've got to be able to notify Congress. They can't just hide behind it and say, really, there's nothing to see here. And the third aspect, people should be able to see the process for their passports. This is basic. If you order a package, you know its delivery all the way to your door, where it's moving. If you try to get in for a passport, you have no idea where it is in the process and no way to get access to information.
Yeah,
So
you
we're
gotta-
trying to get a consistent process that will actually work.
I hope, is this, by the way, just a lot of support for this in the Senate, bipartisan?
There is. This is not a partisan bill. Obviously,
Right.
this is this State Department that's had the problems with this. It's not a partisan bill. We're trying to be able to move it. Let's just fix the problem.
Yeah, I hope so. And why are passport offices so tough to get into?
I know.
No, it's
And
harder,
you're gonna pay the extra
harder
money
to get
to
into the
expedite it.
passport office in the White House, by the way. The guy wouldn't let me through. I was like, geez, I got everything I need to get in here, and you won't let me in. Senator James Lankford, good to see you. Keep us posted on that. Thank you.